Las 5 películas de esta serie ilustran las diversas formas en que los maestros pueden incorporar la enseñanza programada en su plan total de estudios. El propósito de estas películas es estimular la comparación entre los diferentes métodos de enseñanza, más que recomendar alguno en especial. Matemáticas, octavo grado. El señor O'Brien, maestro del grupo de octavo grado de matemáticas, emplea una versión tipo guía del programa de la División de Estudios de Álgebra de la Escuela de Matemáticas. Están estudiando el capítulo 15. El maestro dice que el tema que estudian está muy relacionado con las expresiones algebraicas compuestas. Les recuerda que con anterioridad han estudiado las de una sola variable y les pide un ejemplo de dichas expresiones. Le responden, x más 1 igual a 3. Él les pregunta si están de acuerdo. Y después les comunica que el ejemplo no es correcto, que deben pensar en otro. Una niña contesta, x más 1 es mayor o igual a 3. El maestro da su aprobación y les recuerda que ya saben manejar ese tipo de expresiones algebraicas. Enseguida pregunta cómo se grafica una expresión compuesta con una variable. Daniel dice que hay que encontrar una tabla de verdades para ambas expresiones. Durante la introducción al capítulo 15 se podrá observar cómo el señor O'Brien emplea algunas técnicas de enseñanza, además de la enseñanza programada. Revisa el material que ya se ha estudiado y lo relaciona con los temas que se traten en clase. Instruye continuamente a los alumnos sobre cómo deben interpretar y emplear el programa. Adapta este de acuerdo con las diferencias individuales y proporciona diversas formas de instrucción suplementaria. Ahora continúa con su introducción al nuevo capítulo. Están trabajando con expresiones compuestas de dos variables. El maestro cita como ejemplo, x más y igual a 12 y x menos y igual a 2. Les pregunta a los muchachos cómo se puede construir con ellas una expresión compuesta. Una niña responde que colocando la y en medio de ambas expresiones. El maestro explica que sería ideal una expresión compuesta tan sencilla como x igual a 3 y y igual a 4, porque en ese caso se podría leer el juego de verdades de inmediato. X es 3, y es 4. Esto es lo que se trata de lograr mediante el estudio del capítulo en cuestión. Se trata de encontrar un postulado simple de una expresión que sea equivalente a otra. El señor O'Brien explica el propósito de esa clase como se hace en los libros de texto ordinarios. En esa forma prepara y estimula a sus alumnos para trabajar bien en el programa. Hace una invitación para que los muchachos piensen en qué forma deben resolver los ejercicios. Catalina dice que el alumno debe leer las preguntas que vienen en el libro. ¿Cuándo deben contestarlas?, pregunta el maestro. Catalina responde que inmediatamente después de leerlas. El maestro le dice que si no las responden de inmediato, ¿qué ocurriría? Carola opina que después surgirían confusiones. Les hace ver también el señor O'Brien que si dejan una pregunta sin resolver, no aprenden ese punto y les será difícil progresar. Dice también que bastaría con dar vuelta a la página para hallar el resultado, pero que el tema no sería asimilado. En cambio, si lo resuelven, podrán comprobar si su respuesta es correcta comparándola con la que aparecerá más adelante en el libro. En esa forma hacen una especie de repaso de ese problema en particular. Les recomienda que antes de seguir avanzando en su libro, contesten cualquier ejercicio que aparezca en él. Al dar vuelta a la página, los alumnos se convencen de que ahí aparece la respuesta. Enseguida leen un párrafo que dice, como A es igual a 0 o B es igual a 0, esto equivale a que AB es igual a 0, y el maestro les hace notar que se está suponiendo que el estudiante ya conoce ese tema. Luego pregunta a los alumnos, ¿dónde han visto expresada esa idea? Y una chica responde que al principio del libro. O sea, dice el maestro, que esto proviene de algún teorema que ya han estudiado. María dice que ella lo recuerda. Y el señor O'Brien pregunta si esa es la forma común de enunciar el teorema. Les recuerda que cuando estudiaron ese tema al principio del libro leyeron, si AB es igual a 0, entonces A es igual a 0 o B es igual a 0. Y añade que por eso quizás no reconocían ahora el teorema. Cuando se dice, como tal cosa es cierta, los alumnos tienen que decidir si se están refiriendo a algo que se supone deben saber o si se les está dando información nueva. En el primer caso, lo mejor es que traten de recordar dónde lo aprendieron y con qué objeto. Una vez que el señor O'Brien ha terminado su introducción a la lección y ha discutido el empleo del programa, se dedica a ayudar a resolver problemas que se le pueden presentar a los alumnos. Su experiencia lo capacita para predecir en qué parte pueden tener dificultades. Por ejemplo, ahora les dice que supone que en la página 902 tuvieron dificultades. Después de hacer una pequeña encuesta para averiguarlo, les explica nuevamente ese punto para ayudarlos. Se tienen dos líneas que se intersectan. Se trataba de líneas perpendiculares dispuestas en tal forma que se podía leer fácilmente la tabla de verdades. Les pide que localicen el ejercicio en su libro. X más 2y menos 5 igual a 0, y 2x más y menos 1 igual a 0. Pregunta si les parece obvio con solo ver esas expresiones que la tabla de verdad sea de 1 y 3 negativos. Una niña contesta negativamente y el maestro le dice que en consecuencia no es ese el mejor par de ecuaciones. Es preciso que encuentren un sistema equivalente. Lo que hace falta es un método general para encontrar el sistema que resulte más adecuado. Y eso es lo que se persigue hallar en esta página del libro. Más adelante se menciona que se ha logrado dicho propósito. Hace hincapié el señor O'Brien en que, si se tienen dos ecuaciones, debe haber alguna forma de reducirlas a un sistema equivalente. Este maestro por lo general instruye a todo el grupo la mitad del periodo de clase y dedica la otra mitad a sesiones de trabajo individuales o con grupos pequeños. Cuando considera que los problemas generales han sido resueltos, empieza a formar sus grupos pequeños con el fin de aclarar todas las dudas. Si uno de estos grupos tiene algún problema, puede contar inmediatamente con su ayuda. Le explica a esta niña que los problemas orales ofrecen dificultades especiales porque no enseñan el punto como tal. Entonces deben distinguir primero qué tipo de problema es. En este caso se trata de un problema de distancias, por lo tanto debe tomarse en cuenta la velocidad y el tiempo. Le sugiere a la alumna que trate de resolverlo empezando con las velocidades. Durante estas sesiones de estudio, el señor O'Brien puede darse cuenta perfectamente del progreso de sus alumnos, además de brindarles ayuda en forma individual si es preciso. Debido a que este programa incluye gran parte de la tarea de enseñanza, el señor O'Brien ha dedicado gran parte de su tiempo a la instrucción individual. En consecuencia, ha podido abarcar más material que en años anteriores cuando empleaba el libro de texto en que está basado el programa. Vale la pena discutir el empleo de técnicas tradicionales para impartir la clase como complemento del programa, la previsión de los puntos difíciles y el hecho de destinar la parte esencial de cada clase a brindar instrucción a grupos pequeños o a cada alumno en particular. Sugerimos que se discutan los posibles méritos de estos métodos de enseñanza y que se comparen con los métodos ilustrados en otras películas de esta serie. Producida para el Departamento de Salud, Educación y Bienestar de los Estados Unidos, Oficina de Educación. Versión en español, Centro Regional de Ayuda Técnica, Agencia para el Desarrollo Internacional.
The 5 films in this series illustrate a variety of ways in which teachers can incorporate programmed instruction into their total curriculum. The purpose of these films is to encourage comparison of different teaching methods rather than to recommend one specific approach. Mrs. Kaplan is using an 8th grade vocabulary program with her talented 4th grade class, a part of the Farmingdale, Long Island program for gifted students. Her students are working independently on their programmed instruction assignment in preparation for general class discussion.
You finished Part D. How many of you found that it was more difficult than previous parts that you had? Oh, well then perhaps if we go over some of the words a little bit, it'll be more clear. How many of you discovered a new root today? Michael?
F-U-S, fuse.
Fuse. Can you tell me what fuse means? Mitchell?
It means, pour or poured.
Okay, poured. Let's take a word where we just add a suffix to the root fuse. And let's take the word fusion. What would you say fusion means? Rosemary?
The act of pouring.
Yes, when metals are melted together, we have fusion. They're actually poured or spread together. What prefix would you like to suggest to add to the root fuse? Barbara?
Infuse.
Infuse. You're adding the prefix in. Why didn't I spell it with a double F? I spelled suffuse with a double F. Doug?
Well, in suffuse, you change the B into an F, so the F is doubled. But in infuse, the N doesn't turn into an F, so it's one F.
There's no need for it, is there? Let's think of the meaning for infuse. Let's take it apart just by its parts. Barry?
Pour into.
To spread into or to pour into. All right? Let me give you two sentences and see if you can see the difference between a word like infuse and a word like inject. If I were to give a little talk to you, and if I were to put words that were joke kinds of expressions into the speech, and you were to laugh every once in a while, would my speech be infused with humor, or would I have injected some little jokes into my talk? Stephen?
You would have injected.
Actually, what does inject mean?
Throw or cast into.
Yes, it's taking something and stopping it and casting or throwing an alien thing into it. And that has its effect. We do like to hear a speaker that tells jokes, don't we? But there's another kind of speech where you don't laugh every once in a while. You may not laugh at all, but you kind of chuckle inside through the whole speech. Humor has been what into that speech? Mary Lynn?
Infused.
Yes, it's been poured into or spread into that speech. We can't quite put our finger on exactly where it was injected into the speech, yet it's there. So infuse is a little different in that sense than inject. All right, let's get rid of inject since we're only working with the fuse family today. Can you give me another prefix and build another word for me in the fuse family?
Because the vocabulary program was designed for older students with much wider experience, Mrs. Kaplan spends a considerable amount of time reviewing and expanding upon material covered in the program, relating the new words to everyday experience. The students make their own dictionaries of new roots, prefixes, and suffixes. Each student then combines these word parts to invent new words, which their classmates critique for pronunciation, spelling, and meaning.
Jury? Abposit. A-B-C-O-S And it means to put away. I will apposit my games. Would anybody like to improve this word? Joanne?
Well, I think apposit is too hard to say. Since ab and or a mean the same thing, away, maybe you should take out the B.
Jerry, what do you think of that? I like it better with the B. I think apposit is even harder than apposit. Anybody else like to make another improvement? Dick?
Well, we could do what Joanne said and pronounce the A as short A, so to have apposit.
Jerry, do you like it this way? Yeah.
Okay. I think Stephen had a suggestion.
Stephen?
Maybe we could double the P. A-P-P-O-S-I-T.
The newly invented words are recorded in the class's Wildcat Dictionary. Students go over these words as a way to review the roots, prefixes, and suffixes taught in the program.
Steve, would you like to be our chairman and help us review the Wildcat Work of Words?
Okay. Okay, now who would like to do the first word? Condict. Danny?
Well, the root dict means talk, and the prefix con means together. Altogether, it means talk together, and in a sentence, you could use it. That class condicts. That is our class condicts.
Okay, who'd like to do the next word? Diane? Dictless.
The root dict means to talk, and the suffix less means without. Altogether, it means without talk.
Would you please use it in a sentence?
That boy is dictless.
Okay. The next word. Elaine? Redict.
Well, the root dict means to talk, and the prefix re means back. Altogether, it means talk back. Don't redict your mother.
When we did Part A in program learning today, we discovered a new root. Can you tell me what the new root was? Larry?
Spect.
Yes, what does spect mean? Barbara?
Look.
To look. We went right into words like inspect, which is an easy word. You're all pretty familiar with it. What does inspect mean when we add the prefix in? Stephen?
Look into.
Yes. Supposing we inspect this dictionary, what would we be doing to the dictionary? Bob?
Looking into it or examining it.
Yes. Let's take another prefix, a prefix intro, and put it with the root spect. What word do we come up with? Lynn?
Introspect.
Right. Well, intro means what? Lynn?
Into.
Yes. Well, are we introspecting the dictionary at the same time that we're inspecting the dictionary? In other words, what's the difference between a word like inspect and a word like introspect? Robert?
The word inspect means look into something like a book,
While part of the class works independently, Mrs. Kaplan discusses a lesson with a small group. This gives each child greater opportunity to participate in the discussion. In order to keep closer track of each student's progress than is possible in small group discussions, Mrs. Kaplan holds regular individual counseling sessions.
Let's look at your graph where you've been evaluating how many mistakes you made at the end of each part. And let's see how you've been coming along. What do you think?
Well, it's been getting harder towards the end because the words are much harder to understand.
I noticed that. I see that you have quite a few mistakes in Chapter 5, parts D through F especially. Shall we look through those parts and see if we can't make sure that you understand why you made those mistakes now?
Okay.
Let's see. Here's one, frame 108. Supposing you read for me the critical item that they presented to you in this frame, and let's track down how come you made that mistake and see if we can't fix it up.
Composure and composition are two different results of composing. When you compose a tune, you get a...
Now, what would you like to put there now that you Reread it for yourself.
Composition.
Yes. How can you take apart the parts of the prefix and the root and the suffix? What definition will you come up with for composition?
The act of putting together.
And when you compose a tune, aren't you really in the act of putting things together?
Yes.
So that's a better choice than the one you chose. And let's see what the next one should be. Continue reading.
When you compose yourself, you get a...
No, there's no A here. There was an A in front of composition because that was the noun form of the word. You get... Now this is referring to yourself. You put yourself together within yourself. So then you have what?
Composure.
Right, not composition. So you have them just reversed, didn't you?
Yeah.
Do you understand now the difference between the two?
Yes.
Composure refers to who when you're putting something together?
Yourself.
Right, it's within you.
Classroom use of programmed instruction offers the teacher a wide variety of possible roles. Mrs. Kaplan's choice of teaching methods is based on several years of experience with this unusual student-program combination. Worthy of discussion is her use of large group instruction, small group discussions, individual counseling sessions, and creative supplementary activities. We suggest that you discuss the relative merits of these methods and compare them with the methods illustrated in other films in this series. The 5 films in this series illustrate a variety of ways in which teachers can incorporate programmed instruction into their total curriculum. The purpose of these films is to encourage comparison of different teaching methods, rather than to recommend one specific approach. Miss Langdon's 3rd grade class is working on a science program, which was developed by the curriculum coordinator and a number of teachers in the Menlo Park School District. Miss Langdon normally begins the science period with an introductory session in which she reviews relevant material and previews the work to be done.
Boys and girls, I would like to go over with you now the scientific method. Who remembers what the scientific method is? What is the first thing that's involved in this? Ken?
That you find out something new that you haven't found out before.
All right. How else can we say that? We have a what? Valerie? Once we have the problem, then what do we do? Didier?
We do the hypothesis.
We have a hypothesis. What is a hypothesis? Who remembers? Robert McConey.
Taking a guess at something.
Taking a guess at something. Is this the real answer? Are we sure that this is going to be the right answer? Nancy? No, we're not. So then what do we have to do? Then what do we have to do? We have the problem, we have the hypothesis. What comes next? David?
We get the right equipment for the experiment.
We have to get the equipment, don't we? Once we have the equipment, then what do we do? Who remembers? Barry?
Solve the problem.
All right, now today, in your program material that you will be working in, you will be solving different problems during the course of our science period. And I'd like to put some of them up here on the board. The first one says, does air have weight? How many of you think that air does have weight? Well, most of you do, don't you? But you will be doing some experiments that will prove that it either does or it does not weigh anything. Another problem that you will be working with is, where is air found? Is air found only in certain places? I don't want the answer right now. I want you to find out.
After Miss Langdon's introduction, the children work together on their programs. Although it is usually desirable to have students work on programs independently, some of the less able students do not pace themselves sensibly when working alone. They tend to read through the program too quickly to learn the material. Miss Langdon has eliminated this problem by having her students work together in small, heterogeneous groups. As a result, children who would otherwise rush through the program are paced by their fellow group members.
Problem. Put a crumpled paper towel in the bottom of a dry glass. Put the glass upside down in a larger water container. What will happen to the paper? Hypothesis. A. Water will enter the glass and wet the paper as in X. B. It will not enter the glass as in Y. C. It will go into the glass part way as in Z.
At many points throughout the program, the children perform experiments as a team.
The paper didn't get wet, Beverly. Problem. If you place an empty balloon under a book on a table and blow air into the balloon, what will happen? Hypothesis. A. You will not be able to blow air into the balloon because the book is too heavy. B. The air you blow into the balloon will lift the book off the table. Okay. What does this prove? This proves that air takes up space and can lift things.
Problem. Slice an onion into 4 sections and leave these on a plate in a room. After a while, what will happen? Hypothesis. No one will smell the onion. Only those near the onion will smell it, or after a while, the whole room will smell of onion.
I bet after a while, the whole room will smell like an onion.
Yeah, like onion. Can you both smell it?
I sure can smell it.
Groups which finish the assigned section of the program before the end of the work session look at film strips on related material.
The football weighs more. When we can make them balance by adding weight to the dish until it weighs.
After the work session, group representatives report what their groups have accomplished to the class and Miss Langdon summarizes the lesson.
I would like reports now from the evaluators, please. Carol?
Well, we like the onion experiment the best. We cut it up in 4 slices and leave it at our desk. We thought you could only smell the onion if you were standing around it. So Mr. Scioli took Shelley outside, and when she was at the door, she could smell the onion.
Carol, what was the purpose of this experiment?
We'll see if onion molecules would spread through the air.
Did you work well together? Do you feel this time?
Mm-hmm.
And you all kept up together?
Yes.
Good. I would like to have another evaluation report, please. Could I have hands? David?
Well, today we learned that we had a balloon experiment to see and we popped one balloon, and then the balloon that wasn't popped went down, and we wanted to know if air had weight, so we did that experiment. And also today we learned what air is made up of. It's air molecules, oxygen and nitrogen, and there's some other gases. And we also learned that if you had 2 plants, put one in a jar and put a lid over the jar, and then the other one just out in the room. The one in the jar would die first because plants need air. And we learned that...
A claim often made for programmed instruction is that each student can work at his own pace. However, Miss Langdon has found that some students do not choose a sensible pace when working individually. Having students work through the program together has effectively eliminated this problem and provides a convenient basis for carrying out the experiments in the program. Worthy of discussion are Miss Langdon's introductory lectures, group pacing of small heterogeneous groups, and summary sessions in which the children, rather than the teacher, draw conclusions. We suggest you discuss the relative merits of these methods and compare them with the methods illustrated in other films in this series. The 5 films in this series illustrate a variety of ways in which teachers can incorporate programmed instruction into their total curriculum. The purpose of these films is to encourage comparison of different teaching methods, rather than to recommend one specific approach. Miss Shedd has been trained to provide an unusual learning environment for her students so they can work independently on their reading program. The children all had difficulty adjusting to kindergarten and were thought unready for first-grade reading instruction. Because they tended to become overstimulated in a normal classroom environment, Miss Shedd uses the difficult technique of not responding to many of their actions in order not to encourage attention-seeking behavior. She ignores George's bid for attention with his drawing. He soon puts it away and takes out his reading book and pencil.
Fold your hands and sit quietly.
Miss Shedd controls the class so that the children will feel safe. She starts a new activity by asking the children to fold their hands and sit quietly.
You may begin.
Because they work independently, the children are at different levels in the reading program. All have completed books 1 and 2, in which they learn to discriminate among letters. They are now working at different points in later books. Bruce is discriminating among words in Book 3. John is discriminating among sentences in Book 5. Desmond is matching patterns before starting manuscript writing. Later, he will learn to draw letters using the dots as guideposts. Cheryl is writing the sentences she has just learned to read. Many of the children have short attention spans. They change activities whenever they feel tired. A child may change to clay work after a few minutes, or may stay with a book for a long time. Children who are working on the same material practice reading aloud to one another.
I can skip and run. I can skip. I can skip, run.
When they are ready, they demonstrate mastery to Miss Shedd.
I can skip and run. I can walk. I can walk and skip. I can skip. I can run too.
This step occurs about 4 weeks after starting the program. She neither praises nor criticizes them. At all times, the children evaluate themselves. She relies on their success in the program to motivate them.
Can fall. She can't walk or run. But I can fall.
So put it in the desk.
Fold your hands and sit quietly.
Students are also given training in listening. Because this work does not require specific reading skills, the class proceeds as a group.
I am going to say a sentence. If you hear shoe in the sentence, draw a circle around the word. If you don't hear shoe, draw a circle around the no. Number 1, the baby lost her shoe. Did you hear shoe?
Yep.
Then circle the word.
She continues her regular pace of presentation and ignores the spontaneous remarks of the children, which experience has shown will stop occurring.
3, Jack and Sandy, did you hear you?
Yeah.
4, no, but we can look. Did you hear look?
The program has been thoroughly tested to make sure the children can do the work all by themselves. But sometimes they ask for help anyway. To foster independence, Miss Shedd manages not to see them. Oh, well, I guess it doesn't need to be sharpened. As individual students reach appropriate points in the reading program, Miss Shedd gives them practice in combining their work in reading and listening.
I am going to say a sentence. If it is the same as the sentence on your paper, circle the sentence. If it is not the same, circle the no. Number 1, no, but we can look. Two, the baby lost her shoe. 3, we will find it.
Some of the children become too nervous to work if they are closely watched. When presenting material to small groups, she looks away so they can do their best.
Now I would like you to tell me a sentence using the word walk. Desmond?
I can walk.
In conjunction with the reading program, Miss Shedd carries on a systematic oral composition program.
Desmond, would you like to come down and find the word walk in your sentence? Linda, would you like to tell a sentence using walk?
Sandy can't walk fast.
Classroom use of programmed instruction offers the teacher a wide variety of possible teacher roles. Miss Shedd's role has been carefully planned on the basis of experience with this reading program in the classroom, so that children thought unready for reading instruction can work independently and successfully. Worthy of discussion are Miss Shedd's restraint in not responding to attention-seeking behavior, the fact that the children work on the program at their own pace and are free to change activities at will, careful integration of the teacher's oral presentations with the written parts of the program, and reliance on success in the program to motivate the students. We suggest that you discuss the relative merits of these methods and compare them with the methods illustrated in other films in this series.